The space station floated in the darkness like a giant metal flower. Its name was the Celestial Accord, and it was the largest structure ever built by living beings. 12 alien species had created it together, and for 300 years they had met here to decide the fate of the galaxy. Now, for the first time, humans were allowed inside. Admiral Taeyan stood at the viewing window and watched the stars. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. Beside him stood Dr. Hana, a woman who had spent 20 years learning alien languages. They were Earth's representatives at the Great Summit, and both of them felt the weight of this moment. "They are watching us," Hana said quietly. "Every alien in this station is watching to see what we will do." Taeyan nodded slowly. "Let them watch. We have nothing to hide." Humanity had joined the Galactic Concord only 15 years ago. Before that, humans had fought alone against pirates and raiders in the outer systems. When the Concord finally invited Earth to join their alliance, people celebrated in every city on every human world. They believed they had found friends among the stars, but Taeyan had never trusted the aliens. He had seen how they looked at humans. Their eyes held no warmth, only curiosity. Like scientists studying insects, the summit chamber was enormous. 12 platforms rose in a circle, one for each species. The humans stood on the smallest platform, at the lowest level. Above them, the alien delegates sat in their grand chairs and looked down. High Arbiter Vaughn controlled the meeting. He was a creature of silver skin and 4 arms, and his voice echoed through the chamber like rolling thunder. His species, the Vonnery, had ruled the Concord for 2 centuries. They believed themselves superior to all other life. "We shall now discuss the matter of human expansion," Vaughn announced. His 4 eyes turned toward the human platform. "Earth has requested permission to colonize the Outer Rim territories." Taeyan stepped forward. "The Outer Rim is empty space. No species claims it. Our people need room to grow." "Your people breed like vermin," said a delegate from the Keth Collective. Laughter rippled through the chamber. "Perhaps you should learn to control yourselves." Hana's hands tightened into fists, but her face remained calm. She had trained for moments like this. She knew the aliens wanted to see humans lose their temper. "We have submitted our proposal according to Concord law," Hana said. Her voice was steady and clear. "We ask only for the same rights given to every member species." High Arbiter Vaughn raised one of his 4 hands. The chamber fell silent. "The Concord has concerns," Vaughn said slowly. "Humans are new to the galaxy. You are unpredictable. Your expansion must be controlled for the safety of all." "Controlled?" Taeyan's voice was hard. "We are not children. You are infants," Vaughn replied. His tone was cold. "Your species has existed for only a few 100,000 years. My people have sailed the stars for millions. You do not understand the dangers of unchecked growth." The vote came quickly. 11 species voted against human expansion. Only the Vellani, a peaceful race of traders, did not vote. They simply stayed silent, too afraid to speak. Taeyan watched the lights turn red, one after another. Each red light was a rejection. Each red light was a message. You do not belong here. After the vote, Hana tried to speak with the other delegates. She approached the representative from the Dreth Empire, a warrior species that humans had always respected. "Fleet Marshal Draven," she said, "we have fought side by side against the raiders. Does that mean nothing?" Draven was massive, covered in dark scales, with eyes like burning coal. He looked at Hana for a long moment. "You fight well," Draven admitted. "Your ships are fast. Your soldiers are brave. But bravery is not enough in this galaxy, Dr. Hana. The strong do not share power. They take it. Is that a threat?" "It is a lesson." Draven turned and walked away. That night, Lieutenant Seojun worked alone in the human ship docked at the station. He was young, barely 30 years old, but he was the best communications officer in the fleet. His fingers moved across the controls as he scanned alien transmissions. Most of the messages were normal. Trade agreements, supply requests, diplomatic greetings. Then he found something different. The transmission was encrypted with Vonnery military codes. Seojun had spent months learning to break those codes. Now, as the message decoded on his screen, his blood turned cold. The message was from High Arbiter Vaughn to Fleet Marshal Draven. It contained orders. Detailed orders. Human industrial worlds were to be blockaded within 1 year. Human shipyards were to be seized. Human military vessels were to be decommissioned. And the human population was to be reorganized into labor units serving Concord interests. The alliance was a lie. It had always been a lie. The Concord had never wanted humans as partners. They wanted humans as slaves. Seojun ran through the station corridors until he found Admiral Taehyun. He showed him the decoded message without speaking a single word. Taehyun read it 3 times. His face did not change. But Hana, standing beside him, saw something shift in his eyes. Something dangerous. How long do we have? Taehyun asked. The first blockade ships will move in 6 months, Seojun answered. The seizure of our shipyards is planned for 11 months from now. Then we have 11 months to prepare. Hana stared at him. Prepare for what? We cannot fight the entire Concord. They have thousands of ships. We have less than 200. We have something they do not have, Taehyun said. He walked to the observation window and looked out at the alien station, at the delegates who were still celebrating their victory over humanity. What is that? Hana asked. They think we will accept this. They think we will kneel and become their servants because we are young and small and alone. Taehyun turned to face her. His eyes were like ice. They have forgotten what humans do when we are pushed into a corner. They have forgotten that we climbed out of caves and conquered our own world through blood and fire and will. They see our short lives as weakness. They do not understand that short lives make us burn brighter. Commander Yuna arrived at that moment. She was Taehyun's second in command, a woman who had destroyed 12 pirate vessels in a single battle. I heard, she said simply. What are your orders? Taehyun looked at his officers. These were the people who would stand with him against the galaxy. These were the people who would teach the aliens the truth about humanity. We go home, he said. We tell Earth what we have learned. And then we remind the Concord why they should have feared us from the beginning. The human ship departed the station 1 hour later. As it flew into the darkness, Taehyun stood at the bridge and watched the celestial. Accord grow smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. The alliance was broken. The war was coming. And humanity would not kneel. 3 weeks passed after the summit. On Earth, the sky was blue and the cities were peaceful. People went to work. Children went to school. No one knew that everything was about to change. Deep beneath the mountains of the old continent, Admiral Taehyun stood before the United Council. 50 men and women sat in a half-circle around him. They were the leaders of humanity, chosen to guide the species through the darkness of space. Taehyun played the decoded message on the great screen. The room fell silent as Vaughn's voice filled the air, speaking of blockades and seizures and the reorganization of human populations. When the message ended, no one spoke for a long time. This cannot be real, said Counselor Park, an old man with white hair. We have treaties. We have agreements. The treaties were chains, Taehyun replied. They were never meant to protect us. They were meant to keep us weak until the Concord was ready to strike. Perhaps we can negotiate, another counselor suggested. Perhaps if we show them we know their plans, They will reconsider. Dr. Hana stepped forward. I have spent my entire life studying alien cultures. I know how they think. The Concord does not negotiate with species they consider inferior. To them, we are not people. We are resources to be used. The council argued for hours. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run. Some still believed that peace was possible. In the end, they voted to prepare for war while keeping the truth secret from the public. Panic would help no one. Humanity needed time to build ships and train soldiers. While the council debated, Captain Minho received his orders. He was a young officer, only 35 years old, with fire in his blood and a reputation for reckless bravery. His ship, the Iron Resolve, was one of the fastest vessels in the human fleet. You will take your ship into Concord space, Admiral Tayan told him. Find their invasion fleet. Confirm their numbers and positions. Do not engage. Do not be seen. Just watch and report. Minho saluted. And if they do see us, then run faster than you have ever run before. The Iron Resolve departed Earth under cover of darkness. It used old trade routes that most ships avoided, paths through asteroid fields and nebulae where sensors worked poorly. Minho pushed his crew hard, sleeping only 4 hours each night, always watching the screens for enemy signatures. On the 5th day, they reached the colony world of New Bizan. It was a young world, settled only 40 years ago. 2 million humans lived there, building farms and factories and dreaming of a future among the stars. What Minho saw made his heart stop. Beyond New Bizan, hidden in the shadow of a gas giant, Wah. As a fleet. Not 20 ships, not 50 ships. 200 warships, gathered like wolves waiting to hunt. Get me a count, Minho ordered. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. I want to know every ship class, every weapon system, everything. Lieutenant Era, his sensor officer, worked quickly. I count 40 heavy cruisers, 112 destroyers, 38 carriers, and 10 command vessels. Admiral, that is enough firepower to destroy every human colony in the outer systems. Why are they waiting? Asked Minho's first officer, a woman named Jisoo. They are waiting for orders, Minho realized. They are waiting for the signal to begin. Before they could retreat, an alarm screamed through the bridge. Enemy ships were moving toward them. 3 destroyers, their engines burning bright. They found us, Era said. They must have detected our sensor sweep. All power to engines, Minho commanded. Get us out of here. The Iron Resolve turned and ran. The alien destroyers followed, their weapons charging. Green fire filled the space around the human ship, missing by meters as Minho threw his vessel through impossible turns. We cannot outrun them, Jisoo shouted. Their ships are faster in a straight line. Then we do not run straight. Minho drove his ship toward an asteroid field. The rocks spun and collided in the darkness, a maze of death that no sane pilot would enter. But Minho was not sane. He was desperate. The Iron Resolve dove into the asteroid field. Rocks scraped against the hull. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Behind them, 2 of the alien destroyers crashed into asteroids and exploded. The third pulled back, unwilling to follow. Transmission sent, Kara reported. Earth has received our data. They know the fleet is here. Minho allowed himself a small smile. They had done their duty. Earth would be warned. The Iron Resolve limped home through empty space, its hull damaged and its crew exhausted. When they finally reached Earth, they found a world transformed. Factories that had made civilian goods now produced weapons. Shipyards worked day and night, building warships as fast as possible. Young men and women lined up to join the military, their faces hard with determination. The secret was out. Everyone knew now. The aliens were coming. Admiral Taeyun greeted Minho personally when his ship docked. "You did well, Captain. Your information has given us a chance." "A chance?" Minho looked at the Admiral with tired eyes. "They have 200 ships. We have less than 100. Numbers are not everything. We have something they lack. What is that?" "Surprise." Taeyun smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They expect us to wait here and die. They do not expect us to meet them in the stars." 1 week later, High Arbiter Vaughn broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. His face appeared on every screen, on every world, his 4 eyes cold with contempt. "Humanity has violated Concord law," Vaughn declared. "They have sent spy ships into peaceful territories. They have threatened the stability of the galaxy. For these crimes, they will be pacified. All human military vessels will be surrendered. All human colonies will accept Concord administration. Resistance will be met with absolute force." On Earth, billions of people watched the broadcast. In homes and factories, in schools and hospitals, humans looked at the alien face on their screens and felt something stir in their blood. They did not feel fear. They felt anger. Admiral Taeyun addressed his fleet that night. 87 ships, crewed by the bravest men and women humanity had ever produced. "They think we are weak," Taeyun said. "They think we will bow and beg for mercy. But we are the children of Earth. Our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They crossed oceans in wooden boats. They walked on the moon when the stars seemed impossible to reach. We are not weak. We are the species that refuses to die." Commander Yuna stood at his side, her eyes burning with purpose. "Where do we fight?" she asked. "New Bizon. We meet them there, in the shadow of our own colony. We show them that humanity protects its own." The fleet departed Earth the next morning. As the ships jumped into faster-than-light travel, every crew member knew the truth. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. Many of them would not return, but they went anyway. Because that is what humans do. New Bizon hung in space like a blue and green jewel. 2 million people lived on its surface, looking up at the sky and praying for salvation. They knew the alien fleet was coming. They knew their lives depended on the ships racing to defend them. Admiral Taeyun arrived first with the human fleet. 87 ships took position between the colony and the approaching enemy. It was not enough. Everyone knew it was not enough. "Enemy fleet will arrive in 6 hours," Lieutenant Seojong reported from his station. 204 vessels confirmed. Commander Yuna studied the tactical display. Red dots representing enemy ships filled half the screen. Blue dots representing human ships looked small and scattered in comparison. "If we fight them directly, we lose," Yuna said. "Their firepower is too great. Then we do not fight them directly." Taeyun pulled up a battle plan he had been designing for weeks. "We use the Shattered Mirror." The Shattered Mirror was a strategy no alien species had ever seen. Instead of forming a single battle line, the human fleet would break into dozens of small groups. Each group would attack from a different direction, striking hard and retreating before the enemy could respond. "The Concord fights in formations," Taeyun explained. "They follow rules written thousands of years ago. Each ship has a position. Each captain has orders. They do not adapt. They do not improvise. We will use their discipline against them." Captain Minho grinned from his repaired ship. "We fight like humans. Messy and unpredictable." Exactly. The alien fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a wave of silver death. 200 ships arranged in perfect lines, their weapons gleaming under distant starlight. At their center flew the flagship of Fleet Marshal Draven, a massive vessel called the Eternal Judgment. Draven watched the human formation with his burning eyes. He expected to see a defensive line, humans trying desperately to protect their colony. Instead, he saw chaos. Human ships scattered in every direction, forming small clusters that made no military sense. "What are they doing?" asked his second officer. "Panicking," Draven replied. "As expected. All ships advance. Destroy them all." The Concord fleet moved forward as one, their weapons charged. Victory seemed certain. Then the humans attacked. 12 ships struck from above, firing missiles into the alien formation before diving away. Before the Concord could respond, 8 more ships hit from below, then 10 from the left, then 15 from the right. The alien formation shattered like glass. Ships that had been perfectly positioned now turned in confusion, trying to face threats that came from everywhere at once. Commanders screamed orders, but their communications were clogged with reports of attacks from every direction. Commander Yuna led the most dangerous assault. Her group of 6 ships drove straight toward the Eternal Judgment, the enemy flagship. Defensive fire filled space around them, but Yuna flew through it like water through rocks. "Target their communication array," she ordered. "Without communications, their fleet cannot coordinate." Her ships opened fire. Missiles and energy beams slammed into the flagship's upper section. Explosions ripped through metal and circuits. The great antenna that connected Draven to his fleet twisted and broke apart. Suddenly, 200 alien ships were fighting alone. They could not receive orders. They could not share information. They could only see the enemy ships in front of them, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Captain Minho and the Iron Resolve found themselves facing an alien carrier. The massive ship launched fighters, dozens of small craft swarming toward the human vessel. "We cannot fight them all," Jisoo warned. "We do not need to fight them all." Minho pushed his ship forward, directly at the carrier. "We just need to kill their mother." The Iron Resolve accelerated to maximum speed. Alien fighters tried to intercept, but the human ship was too fast, too committed. At the last moment, Minho fired every weapon he had into the carrier's engine section. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. The carrier broke apart, its fighters suddenly without a home. Some tried to flee. Others crashed into debris. The Iron Resolve emerged from the fire with scorch marks on its hull and half its weapons destroyed. "Damage report," Minho demanded. "Engines at 60%. Weapons at 40%. Hull integrity compromised in 3 sections." Jisoo looked at him with wide eyes. "We should be dead." "Probably. But we are not. Find another target." The battle lasted 4 hours. 4 hours of chaos and fire and death. Human ships darted through the alien formation, striking and retreating, never staying in one place long enough to be destroyed. Alien ships fired at shadows, hit their own allies, and fell one by one. Fleet. Marshal Draven watched his fleet die around him. His communications were destroyed. His formation was broken. His captains were fighting individual battles they could not win. He had underestimated the humans. He had thought their disorder was weakness. Now he understood. Their disorder was freedom. While his captains waited for orders, human captains made their own decisions. While his ships followed rules, human ships broke every rule and invented new ones. "Order the retreat," Draven commanded. "Sir, we cannot send orders. The communication array is destroyed." "Then use light signals." "Use anything. Tell them to retreat." The surviving Concord ships pulled back. They had entered the battle with 204 vessels. They left with 141. 63 ships destroyed. Thousands of alien soldiers dead. The human fleet had lost 22 ships. 22 ships and the brave souls who crewed them. But they had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. On New Bizen, 2 million people watched the alien fleet flee. They had expected to see their defenders destroyed. Instead, they saw victory. Cheers rose from every city, every town, every small farm on the colony world. Admiral Tayan allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Then he turned to his officers with serious eyes. This is not over. We have hurt them, but we have not broken them. Vaughn will send more ships, more soldiers. He cannot allow humanity to defy him. Let him send them, Commander Yuna said. We will be ready. In the ruins of his flagship, Fleet Marshal Draven stood among the bodies of his fallen crew. He had fought 100 battles in his long life. He had never lost. Until today. He thought about the human ships, dancing through his formation like flames in the wind. He thought about their captains, making impossible decisions in split seconds. He thought about their soldiers, fighting with a fury that seemed almost insane. They were supposed to break, he muttered to himself. Why did they not break? He looked out at the stars, at the distant light of the human colony that still stood free. What are you? He whispered. What are you really? He did not know the answer. But for the first time in his life, Fleet Marshal Draven felt something he had never felt before. Fear. News of the Battle of New Bizen spread across the galaxy like fire. On 1,000 worlds, 1,000 species heard the same impossible story. Humans, the youngest and weakest members of the Galactic Concord, had defeated a fleet twice their size. Some refused to believe it. Others laughed and called it propaganda. But the truth could not be hidden. Too many alien soldiers had seen human ships burning through their formations. Too many survivors had limped home with stories of a battle that should not have been lost. High Arbiter Vaughn sat in his throne room on the Concord capital world, listening to reports with growing fury. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his chair until the metal bent. How is this possible? He demanded. They are primitives. Their ships are inferior. Their technology is generations behind ours. Their technology is inferior, his advisor agreed. But their tactics were unlike anything we have encountered. They did not fight as a fleet. They fought as individuals, each ship making its own decisions. That is chaos. Chaos cannot defeat order. It did, High Arbiter. Perhaps chaos is not always weakness. Vaughn silenced his advisor with a look. He would not accept excuses. He would not accept failure. Humanity would be crushed. If it took every ship in the Concord, humanity would be crushed. While Vaughn planned his revenge, cracks appeared in the Concord itself. 3 minor species quietly withdrew from the alliance. They were small, peaceful races who had joined the Concord for protection. Now they saw what protection meant. It meant fighting a war against a species that refused to die. We want no part of this, their ambassadors said. This is not our fight. More species grew restless. The Vellani traders stopped supplying Concord military bases. The Keth Collective demanded explanations for the failed attack. Even the mighty Dreth Empire began to question High Arbiter Vaughn's leadership. Admiral Tayan knew that victory at New Bizen was only the beginning. The Concord still had thousands of ships. Humanity could not win a long war of attrition. They needed to strike fast and hard, breaking the enemy's will before their own resources ran dry. He called it Operation Sunrise. We target their supply lines, Tayan explained to his commanders. Their communication relays, their fuel depots. We do not try to hold territory. We hit them and disappear. We make them afraid to move their ships anywhere in the galaxy. Commander Yuna led the first strike. Her squadron destroyed 3 supply stations in a single week, leaving entire Concord fleets stranded without fuel or ammunition. Captain Minho attacked the communication network. blowing apart relay stations that had operated for centuries. Suddenly, orders from the Concord capital took days instead of minutes to reach distant fleets. Lieutenant Seajon became the most valuable person in the human military. Working day and night, he cracked the Concord's primary encryption codes. Now humanity could read enemy messages before they arrived. They knew where Concord ships would be before the ships knew themselves. They are planning to reinforce the Keth border, Seajon reported one morning. 30 ships leaving in 2 days. Then we will be waiting for them, Taeyeon replied. The reinforcement fleet never arrived. Human ships ambushed them in transit, destroying half and scattering the rest. The Keth Collective, seeing no protection coming, announced their neutrality in the war. Dr. Hana worked her own kind of battle. Through secret channels, she maintained contact with Ambassador Kella, the alien diplomat who had warned them of the betrayal. Kella believed the war was wrong. She believed the Concord had become corrupt under Vaughn's leadership. Many species feel as I do, Kella told Hannah through encrypted messages. We do not want this war. We do not want to die for Vaughn's pride. And help us end it, Hannah replied. Help us show the galaxy that there is another way. Kella promised to try. She could not fight openly against the Concord, but she could spread doubt. She could ask questions. She could make other species wonder if they were fighting for the right side. 3 months after New Bison, Fleet Marshal Draven requested a secret meeting with Admiral Taeyeon. They met on a neutral station in unclaimed space, surrounded by guards who watched each other with suspicious eyes. Draven looked different than before. His scales had lost their shine. His burning eyes seemed tired. I did not expect you to agree to meet, Draven said. I did not expect you to ask. Taeyeon studied the alien warrior. Why are we here? Because this war is destroying my people as much as yours. Every ship we lose is a ship that cannot protect our borders. Every soldier who dies is a soldier who cannot defend our children. Draven leaned forward. I am offering a ceasefire. Under what terms? You return to your territories. We return to ours. The war ends. Things go back to the way they were. Taeyeon almost laughed. The way they were? You mean with humanity as your future slaves? With our children working in your factories? No, Fleet Marshal. We will not accept any terms that do not recognize our full sovereignty. We will not accept anything less than what every other species in this galaxy enjoys. Vaughn will never agree to that. Then Vaughn must be removed. Draven's eyes widened. You are asking me to commit treason. I am asking you to save both our peoples. Taeyeon stood. The choice is yours, Fleet Marshal. You can continue fighting a war you know you will lose. Or you can help build a peace that could last forever. Draven did not answer. But he did not refuse either. As Taeyeon left the station, Draven shared one final piece of information. Vaughn is preparing a final assault. He is gathering every ship he can find. 500 vessels, maybe more. He plans to attack Earth directly. If he destroys your homeworld, he believes your other colonies will surrender. Taeyeon stopped, but did not turn around. When? 6 weeks. Perhaps less. Thank you for the warning. I am not doing this for you, Draven said quietly. I am doing this because the galaxy needs humans. I did not understand that before. I understand it now. Taeyeon returned to Earth with fire in his heart. He gathered his officers and told them what was coming. They are bringing everything they have, he said. 500 ships aimed at our homeworld. This is not a battle for territory. This is a battle for survival. Commander Yuna's face was hard as stone. What are your orders? We prepare Sol System as a fortress. Every weapon, every trap, every trick we can imagine. We make them pay for every kilometer they advance. Taeyan looked at his officers, the men and women who had followed him through impossible battles. They are coming with everything they have. Good. Let them come to us. Let them enter our home. And let them learn why no one conquers humanity. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. Blue oceans. Green forests. Cities glittering with light. 7 billion people looking up at the stars. Wondering if they would survive the coming storm got Admiral Taeyan intended to make sure they did. High Arbiter, Vaughn stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Divine Will, and watched 500 warships fall into formation around him. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in Concord history. Every species that remained loyal had sent their best ships, their finest crews. Today we end the human rebellion, Vaughn announced to his captains. Today we teach the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Concord. When the sun sets on Earth, humanity will be nothing more than a memory. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. Stars blurred into lines of light. And then they emerged at the edge of the Sol system, the home of humanity. What they saw made them hesitate. Earth's sun burned bright at the center of the system. Around it, the planets moved in their ancient paths. But something was different. Something was wrong. Where are their ships? Vaughn demanded. His sensors showed only scattered vessels near the outer planets. A few dozen ships, nothing more. It seemed like humanity had abandoned its defenses. They are running, one of his captains suggested. They know they cannot win, or they are hiding. Vaughn narrowed his 4 eyes. Proceed with caution. All ships maintain formation. The Concord fleet moved deeper into the system. They passed the orbit of Neptune and Uranus. Nothing attacked them. The silence was unsettling. Admiral Taeyan watched the enemy approach from his command center on Mars. He had spent 6 weeks preparing for this moment. Every asteroid had been examined. Every moon had been mapped. The entire solar system had been transformed into a weapon. They have passed the outer marker, Lieutenant Seajon reported. Wait, Taeyan said. Let them come deeper. The Concord fleet reached the asteroid belt. Millions of rocks floated in the darkness, tumbling slowly through space. The alien captains saw no threat. Asteroids were just obstacles to navigate. They were wrong. Now, Taeyan commanded, across the asteroid belt, hidden weapon platforms came to life. Missiles launched from rocks that had seemed dead. Energy beams fired from hollowed-out asteroids. Ships that had been disguised as debris revealed themselves and attacked. The Concord formation exploded into chaos. Ships that had been flying peacefully suddenly found themselves surrounded by fire. Captains screamed orders, but there were too many threats, too many directions to watch. It is a trap, Vaughn shouted. All ships push through. Break their lines. The Concord fleet charged forward, absorbing terrible losses, but refusing to stop. They were too many, too powerful to be stopped by traps alone. 400 ships survived the asteroid belt and continued toward Earth, but more surprises waited Dot near Jupiter. Civilian cargo ships that had been evacuating colonists suddenly turned and accelerated toward the Concord fleet. They were not cargo ships anymore. They were missiles piloted by volunteers who knew they would not survive. For Earth, the pilots screamed as they drove their ships into enemy vessels. Explosions lit up the darkness. 20 more Concord ships died. Then 30. Then 50. Commander Yuna launched her attack near Mars. Her squadron had been hiding in the shadow of the red planet, engines cold, waiting for the perfect moment. Now they emerged like predators from the deep, striking the Concord flank with devastating force. Target the command ships, Yuna ordered. Blind their admirals. Her pilots were the best humanity had. They danced between enemy formations, destroying communication vessels and command cruisers. The Concorde fleet began to fragment, individual captains making decisions without guidance from above. Dock Captain Mino led the assault on the divine will itself. His ship, the Iron Resolve, had been repaired and upgraded with the most powerful weapons human factories could produce. "We take their leader," Minot told his crew. "We end this war in one strike." The Iron Resolve and 6 other ships fought their way through the Concorde defensive screen. Alien vessels tried to intercept them, but Minot was too fast, too unpredictable. He used debris as cover, flew through explosions, and somehow kept his ship alive. Boarding pods ready. Jisoo reported. Launched them. 12 pods shot from the human ships and slammed into the hull of the Divine. Human Marines burst through the metal and began fighting their way toward the bridge. Alien soldiers tried to stop them. The Vanare were tall and strong, with 4 arms that could tear a human apart. But humans fought with a fury that seemed almost supernatural. They charged into superior numbers without hesitation. They took wounds that should have killed them and kept fighting. Commander Yuna led the assault team personally. She had trained for years in close combat, learning techniques from every culture on Earth. Now she used all of them, moving through the enemy like wind through grass. "The bridge is ahead," one of her Marines reported, "and we take it." The doors to the bridge exploded inward. Human soldiers poured through, weapons blazing. Alien guards fell. Officers tried to flee, but found nowhere to run. High Arbiter Vaughn stood in the center of his bridge, surrounded by the bodies of his guards. His 4 eyes burned with hatred as he faced Commander Yuna. "You cannot win," he said. "Even if you kill me, another will take my place. The Concorde will never accept humans as equals." "The Concorde is dying," Yuna replied. "Your fleet is breaking. Your allies are abandoning you. And in a moment, you will be our prisoner." Vaughn reached for a weapon. Yuna moved faster. In one smooth motion, she disarmed him and forced him to his knees. "Admiral," she spoke into her communicator, "we have Vaughn." Taeyun's voice came back, calm and satisfied. "Broadcast his capture to every ship in the system. Let them see their leader on his knees." The image went out across the battlefield. Every Concorde ship, every alien captain, saw High Arbiter Vaughn kneeling before a human soldier. The symbol of their power, broken and defeated Fleet Marshal Draven, commanding the remaining Concorde forces, watched the broadcast in silence. Then he gave an order he had never given before. "All ships stand down. The war is over." One by one, the alien vessels stopped firing. One by one, they lowered their weapons and accepted defeat. In the months that followed, the Galactic Concorde dissolved. High Arbiter Vaughn was tried for crimes against humanity and imprisoned for life. A new alliance was proposed, one built on equality and respect instead of domination. They called it the Stellar Union. 12 species joined, with humanity as a founding member. Admiral Taeyun was offered command of the combined fleet, not because humans had conquered, but because they had proven themselves worthy of trust. 1 year after the war, Dr. Hana stood before the first session of the Stellar Council. Representatives from every member species watched as she spoke. "You called us primitive," she said. "You called us dangerous. You were half right. We are dangerous. Dangerous to anyone who mistakes kindness for weakness. Dangerous to anyone who thinks they can enslave the innocent. But we are also builders, dreamers, friends to those who earn our trust. We did not seek this war, but we finished it. And now, together, we will build something better." The council rose to their feet. For the first time in galactic history, they rose for humans. Outside the Great Hall, stars burned in the endless darkness. Among them, somewhere, was a small blue world called Earth, a world that had refused to kneel, a world that had taught the galaxy a simple truth: humanity does not break. Humanity rises. And now, among the stars, humanity would lead the way forward